Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to talk about a kill team tournament I attended last weekend up in Sheffield. It was a great tournament. I came second from last. So to set the scene for you, me and my mate drove up to Sheffield from Birkenhead near Liverpool, through some really picturesque scenery. I think we went through Buxton. It was kind of like driving through like the mini Shire. It was really cool. And then we got into Sheffield. And we said let's go get a Greggs, man. Let's get some breakfast before we start playing. Walk into Greggs, and immediately it's robbed by like 3 homeless people. Yeah, 2 scousers walk into Greggs and the place gets robbed. Everyone laughed, haha. It's my first 32-man kill team event. It was really cool seeing that many people in the room, as excited about the game as I am. I'm really doing the best to play. It was a really well run event in my opinion. I'd like to say a massive thank you to a fellow Declan, Declan Rhodes, who ran the tournament. Did a really good job. He was making himself available as much as possible for rules queries throughout. He made sure all the round timings were on point, stuff like that. Before we begin, I just wanted to talk about the venue itself. So the tournament was held in a place called the Outpost up in Sheffield. It was a brilliant on-site parking was ample. They made sure everybody had a place. They had kind of ushers making sure people weren't taking up too much space in the parking bays as well. And as I said, me and my mate drove up from Liverpool, from Birkenhead near Liverpool, and my mate to join us. So we were in a big, trade van, and they still had plenty of room, for us to park just outside the double doors. Great. Paint ranges were really cool. I've never seen them before in the UK. I've seen some Monument Hobbies paints stocked as well. Didn't buy any yet, but I will probably order some because I've heard really good things. They had all the lines as well. They had the Army painter, they had Vallejo, they had plenty of board games, loads of Warhammer, just pretty well stocked. Really good staff. They were lovely. Made sure the event ran smoothly. Made sure everyone had drinks, snacks when they need them, all that stuff. I can't say enough positive things about the staff, both running the event and the staff. Staff in the shop, just wonderful. Yeah, really good, really positive experience and a really good time. So let's talk about what we came here for, the games. So before I start talking about the games, I just want to thank all of my opponents. So Ryan, Patrick and Peter. They were all lovely, really polite, really courteous. Gave me good games, didn't hold back, but they weren't rude, anything like that, really good. Had a good time. I learned a lot as well. I think for me, this tournament was it was eye-opening in terms of like how close games can be and how much a single point can mean. And before I start talking about the games as well, I just want to say I can only give my perspective on these games. I don't know what mistakes or decisions my opponents made, and I'm 100% sure that they were capitalising on my own misplays, which I probably didn't even realise, Obviously in this video, I can only tell you about my perception of the games, In reality, they might have seen things differently, or they might have seen the game in a different light, and that's totally fine. Just because I'm making a YouTube video about it doesn't mean I'm trying to espouse some universal truth about the games that I was playing. Their opinions would be just as valid and just as on point as mine, I would imagine. So my first game was against Ryan, and he was playing as Hearthkin Salvagers. He's a lovely guy. We share the same line of work. Seemed really switched on, and he went on actually to come joint first to sort of win the tournament as well. So obviously, very good player. At least locally, at least in that meta there, but certainly compared to me, a very good player. So as soon as I seen Ryan, I seen he had the South Yorkshire Kill Team shirt on, and I think, oh god, there we go. You know what I mean? I got some kind of heavy kid to play against in me first pairing. I wasn't too far off considering he did go on to to kind of come join first, I suppose. But I kind of knew he would expect me to play implant, so I took take ground. And my idea was, I hope he would, I'd hope he would stay back. I would hope he'd kind of maintain distance and try and deny me implant, and then like rope a dope him, and with only having limited movement because he's hurting salvages. Turning point one, obviously it was very much your standard staging up. We were moving up the map. I positioned my plasma up on top of some Volcus terrain, using the pre-game move. However, I positioned him a little bit poorly, and from one of his Volcus terrains, he managed to get a clear shot at him. Fortunately, my medic was just directly below him. He managed to just be in range for the medic ability, and jump the plasma guy off the top of the ruin there. And as soon as he managed to get that shot, I was thinking, obviously he knows the map, he knows where the sight lines are. I'm in for a wild ride here. End of turning point one. Obviously he's playing Hurricane salvages, and the jetpack strike comes in. And I had a heavy barricade in the centre of the map, and I'd moved my sapper and my melter up to the centre of the map. Two big, pretty massive play pieces. So yeah, he alpha struck. He took that opportunity, and somehow, the damage bounced. I will say Ryan's dice were absolute dog water in that last game. I think one of the main sort of saving graces for me, really, and what made it a game, was the fact that he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Basically, everybody rolled, just missed, and I was rolling hot with saves and stuff like that. So even though he did make the correct play, in my opinion, and took a massive opportunity, striking both the melter and the sapper, my two biggest power pieces, he didn't manage to get the kills there. Obviously then turning point two begins. The sapper retaliates and manages to kill the jetpack dwarf with a crack grenade, freeing up the melter to threaten the midboard. To obviously react to this, the Thane ended up charging him, and somehow, even though the Thane's got like a power axe or whatever, the melter survives again. I was just rolling really, really hot with the saves there. And then turning point three, obviously at this point I've revealed my attack op, I've revealed take ground, so he knows that I want that centre line and I want that mid objective. And I like to believe it was evidence of his good play reacting to take ground being revealed, but it could have just been that his sapper needed to get within 6 to throw his grenade. Probably a bit of both. But he moved up to the mid board and he took the double. So as he moved up to the mid board, he got both. I think it was the icon ward and the melter. On my other flank, I took more fire than I should have. Really, I had a lot of guys tucked in to the oil rooms on the flank of one of my strongholds, thinking that they were safe, retain cover at least, or even remain concealed. But unfortunately, the plasma that I mentioned earlier, who had to jump down for the medic ability, he was basically just a little bit out because he had to get within an inch of the medic, and that gave him a grenade, basically a missile launcher shot with his kind of bazooka dwarf. So he fragged basically 3 of my guys. He killed the medic, and I think he killed one of the gremlin guys, and he wounded but didn't kill the plasma. After this, he moved his rail rifle up, and again, as I stated, I had those guys all I had those guys in a line basically along the side of the Volcus stronghold, and they got like a beautiful rail rifle shot. Managed to hit one of my leaders and the remaining plasma guy, and didn't kill either of them. So, I mean, again, such poor luck on Ryan's part. That could have been At this point, on the mid board with the jetpack trooper, and on the flank with the heavy weapons, he could have crippled me either flank. In a fair game, he probably at least should have got one, but he didn't. Today, the luck was on my side. So we move on to 10.4. This was kind of a game-defining misplay for me. So after all the luck I've had surviving, the rail rifle, the missile launcher, the plasma not quite dying with the medic at the start, fluffing the Alpha Strike with the jetpack, Melter Gun surviving the feign charge. All this luck was on my side to give me the opportunity to kind of maybe win the game, and I just bollocksed it up. So, end of the game, we're kind of I think we ended 13-10. The Grenadier that moved up and got the double kill for Ryan had 3 remaining wounds in the midboard. So he was right on the midboard. At this point, the Thane had to move back, so he was basically the only midboard presence that he had. I had my Magus left, who'd been deleting people all game, and I had one of my Gremlins, and I had my comms trooper left. So these 3 operatives are around the midboard, and he's got a full health operative engaged in the backboard, basically doing Overwatch. At the time, he couldn't threaten anyone because everyone was in conceal, in the midboard, safe as houses. And rather than moving up and killing the Grenadier on the midboard, which would allow me to claim a point for loot on the mid objective and a point for loot on my home objective, and either 1 or 2 points on tack up, depending on how many people could get to the mid line. I just shot the trooper at the back. I killed him. Great. Oh yeah, I've done a whole dwarf in. Fantastic. Good job. But obviously, after I've took the initiative and done that, he's got this operative in the middle of the board who then made plays. So he kills my objective monkey. He kills my little guy. He moves to mid, denies me hold ground on the mid, and he's also got his Thane on the mid on the other flank, which means the operatives that I have on the mid no longer, they no longer score me even a single point for tack up. So in a single turn, I've lost a loot point that I could have had. I've lost possibly 2 tack up points, and also more than that because tack up was my primary op, and it resulted in a 10-13 loss to Ryan. I think on a normal day, I'd have probably been crippled off the bat either by the Alpha Strike or by the railgun. And I feel like I squandered all that good luck just to fumble it, However, it was a well-deserved win to Ryan, and he did absolutely dominate the rest of the tournament. So I didn't feel too bad about quite a low scoring and quite a close game for him. It was really cool meeting someone on the South Yorkshire kill team. It was really cool, playing against someone who's got real chops in the game, kind of thing. In terms of his investment. So, thank you, Ryan. Cheers. Thanks for the game, mate. Thank you for explaining all the stuff about the Volcus terrain for me beforehand. And thank you for being a tough opponent, even though luck wasn't on your side. You still managed to get the win, man. So well played, dude. Moving on to game 2. The second game was against Patrick. Patrick was running Angels of Death this time. So in 10.1, I used covert geysers to move my Melter and my Sapper up the board and basically project threat. He moved forward in kind, and he didn't see, I don't think, that there was a window on the side of one of the buildings. So he moves up, he throws not 1 but 2 stun grenades, and he misses both. So I've been given a big massive opportunity here for better take it. So I move my Sapper up to that window. I'm within 2 inches of this this Grenadier that's moved up, and I actually kill him. So 10.1, kill the Marine. And at this point, I'm feeling like super confident. I'm like, wow, nice. So that was his first stun grenade gone, and a Marine, essentially. So we move sort of the end of that turning point, so end of 10.1, and he moves another Marine up, and he threw another stun. He threw his second stun grenade again. That misses. I'm thinking, wow, yeah, this is great for me. He's got people projecting threat himself, but they're in vulnerable positions. And I actually also buffed my melter guns APL. So I moved my comms guy up, I buffed the APL, I put the token down on him. And then we move into 10.2. So as we move into 10.2, the Marine that's moved up, you know, he can threaten a double charge. He's moved up. So I'm thinking, I need to do something about this. And for some reason, I just totally forgot that the melter gun had the extra APL. So I could have moved back out of charge range just with the melter. I could have left the medic, sacrificed the medic, and I would have been able to basically still project threat with the melter gun. Anyway, I didn't do that. I think at this point, I feel like this was kind of game defining for me in the overall run of how the game would go, because I still had that Grenadier who just got his kill in the previous turn in position. So I was essentially threatening the board with both a Grenadier and a melter gun, and they were in such positions that they couldn't both be killed. And rather than leaving the melter where he was or just moving the melter back slightly, you know, I basically retreated hard for that turn because I was worried about losing an asset or a power weapon, and I just feel like that was the biggest misplay for me, because instead of capitalizing on multiple, you know, vectors of threat and then letting him either maybe even kill the melter, but I still would have been able to use the sapper to either, you know, neutralize the guy who killed the melter, or even move up the board further and cause problems for the rest of his team. You know, he had his leader, his sergeant, and another Marine there. I still had the one use explosive in the back pocket, and for some reason, I just got a bit gun shy all of a sudden, pulled back, and then that allowed him essentially to kind of to move up in the rest of the turning point. So as we go into 10.3, that Marine who took the flank from the melter, he obviously moved up in turning point 1 and 2 at this point. He made a max range charge, basically right to my backfield. At this point, you know, I've got a plasma guy in the back, and a guy with a power sword. It just wasn't an answer for an assault marine there and then. And it wasn't so much the initial charge and killing, it was the fact that he'd managed to move up the board, charge, kill, and he was in a really advantageous position from then on to start using his counteract actions. So I'd given up ground essentially by moving this melter back, to the point that he'd managed to, you know, do what Marines do and basically get up the board. And from then on, he kind of made really intelligent decisions, you know, with his reactions. He was waiting for me to move where I needed to move to take objectives or to deal with his threats, and then reacted accordingly. So I think it was a bit of both, being a full send, you know, Space Marine player, flying up the board, and also, you know, some intelligent sort of counter actions as well. So in 10.4, the same Marine continues his rampage. This time he manages to charge the Magus. Magus uses a ploy on for get down, Mr. President. So obviously sacrifices one of my own pieces. So 10.4, the same Marine manages to get a big charge up the board essentially, and he gets on top of the Magus. I've got the fight last ploy up, and I use the get down Mr. President ploy as well. I sacrifice one of my my own guys at this point too. I think this kind of also might be a bit of a misplay because he was on the ground floor of the Volcus terrain. So if I didn't sacrifice him, he could have just stayed down there and scored me some primary at the end of the 10.4. But I didn't. I sacrificed him. I did get a Marine kill out of it because when he actually fought the Magus next, fight on death kicked in. So on the way out, the Magus did get me a kill off point as well. So it was probably a 1-for-1 trade rather than a really bad misplay. But I think just throughout the game, Patrick, he had a good game plan for everyone. He moved up he had a heavy intercessor with the portable barricade, so he had a 2-up save platform just running into the mid board, which denied me take ground again. And I think I didn't get steamrolled. It was a 14-16 loss. And again, I think the tack up in this game was really what cost me. I think I need to start, leaning towards implant a lot more, essentially. So Peter Taylor from the Deadwood lads, he was my third opponent. And what can I say about him? Lovely fella. Went on to win best overall as well, actually, at the tournament. Good taste in music. And he had some really, really well painted Blades of Cain. His Banshees were immaculate, really good. The shine on the hair and the OSL on the power swords was fantastic. Yeah, so I was at this point, I was kind of done in terms of placing. I knew, I've got 2 losses under my belt. They were high scoring losses, but at this point, I knew I wasn't in the running for anything special. So I brought the Patriarch out. He's way more fun than the Magus. You could get a big guy with 21 wounds running around. And I learned a lot about Blades of Cain, basically. Peter in the second turning point, so he staged up turning point 1, and in the second turning point, at this point, I didn't really know any of the Blades of Cain tricks, but I learned pretty quick. The Banshees have got the fly strap for their charge, and he got not 1 but 2 double kills in that second turning point. Yeah, 2 double kills in the second turning point. Oh no, sorry, I got a double kill in the second turning point and a double kill in the third turning point. And to be fair, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cinematic. So he used the ability where you can charge, fight, and then continue on with your charge and kill another operative. So he sacrificed his leader basically to do that in one of my strongholds. I moved up. I took take ground this time, because it was a map that favoured it. So I just parked the Patriarch into one of the strongholds. And if I had just stuck to my guns and done that, I could have just maxed tack up. But for some reason, turning 3, I moved out of the stronghold to tap a crit up, which I could have just done with any of the other operatives on my team. But for some reason, I did it with the Patriarch, who was in the stronghold scoring me tack ops. So it could have. I think that game was pretty close. But either way, Pete deserved his win. The double kills were immaculate. It was pretty cool. I learned a lot about Blades of Cain. So I think the big takeaway for me here was again, stop losing sight of the tack up. I always seem to get boss eyes. I always kind of want to I want to do the thing that feels good, whether it's charging and killing or moving and tapping a point just because it's there, it's available, it's something to do. And again, I lost sight of the tack up, and it was an easy tack up this time. It wasn't like the other games where I had to take, I had to take hold center. In this game, it was take ground. All I had to do was chill out in that stronghold, and I would have got my primary up, and I probably would have maxed tack up as well. So overall impressions of the tournament, obviously, getting snookered sucks. You know what I mean? You don't imagine going to tournaments and losing every game that you play. You know, I mean, I would have at least liked to have gone, you know, 1 for 2, something like that. But I think what I'm kind of taking away from it is every one of these games was a sort of it was a learning experience. It was a little lesson, whether it was the lessons that the players were imparting upon me, you know, with the terrain rules, with how their operatives work, you know, with my own threat management on the board, stuff like that. I feel like every game was a really, really good like learning experience. So feeling positive despite the losses. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but like I feel much better about this tournament than I have about, you know, the previous tournaments that I've attended, because I've seen, or at least been able to recognise some, you know, some paths to victory. And that's not to say my opponents wouldn't have beaten me anyway, but seeing some paths to victory and seeing some lessons, meeting really cool people, you know, from other kill team communities, South Yorkshire kill team guys, Deadwood guys from the Outpost. It's just been a really cool, informative, you know, eye-opening experience. Really enjoyed it. Can't recommend the Outpost, and I can't recommend the tournaments enough. Yeah, so looking forward to going to another one. Yeah, cheers. Thanks for your time, guys.